And Mark, let's move on into the Seattle Seahawks. Before we do, make sure to check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/MostValued Podcast. Live podcast is something that we're going to do in the future. And also, if you've got that Amazon Prime free sub for Twitch, throw it our way. It's like I'm saying, Kurt Schilling, why not us? Why not give that free sub over to us and join the family? We got just another one, Mark. Yesterday when Dave and I were live for free agency. So now we're to 4 or 5 subs for twitch.tv/MostValued Podcast that you can follow and sub to
brand
today.
New, so you can be one of the first.
It's brand new. You can't be the first, but one of the first. You definitely can. But let's move on. The Seahawks, offensively, they were last year 18th in yards per game, 353. They were 6th in points per game, putting up almost 27 points per contest. Defensively, though, taking a little bit of a slide back than what we're used to. They were 16th in defensive yards per game, giving up 353 yards per contest, but 11th in points per game, giving up just over or just under 22 points. They were 21.7 on the year. This is a team defensively. I know we're going to look at them first, but free agency really quick. They added DJ Fluker, 2-year contract. They got Mike Iupati on a 1-year contract. Michael Kendricks, they re-sign him. They're bringing in, they re-sign KJ Wright. They bring in Jason Myers, the kicker. The thing I want to look at first with the Seattle Seahawks team, because I know offensively we're going to look wide receivers, DK Metcalf, and what they can do. But defensively, this has been a unit that is not the Legion of Boom that we remember from years past. Is this still a defense that teams should be scared of when they play the Seattle Seahawks?
To a degree, yes. You should still be scared of the Seattle Seahawks defense. It's just not as scared as you used to be. And part of that, too, is half their games is going to be in Seattle, which is a difficult place to play. That
Very loud.
Yeah, it gets loud. It's hard to get your offense going, so that still works out.
It's the second loudest behind Arrowhead, right? The Chiefs Stadium is the loudest.
I think so.
By Seattle?
I think so, but if we're wrong, we'll hear it in the comment section. Because Seattle fans, they take that loudness very seriously.
The 12th man.
But, and the thing is, like, they've still got really good players defensively. You got Bartavius Mingo, Ziggy Ansah, Shaquem Griffin, Bobby Wagner. You've got some really good pieces here. It's just that it's not the same. It's not exactly what it was before. And they're kind of trying to rebuild it. And I think that's really interesting because this is the chance of, we all talked about Pete Carroll coming in here out of college and just knocking these drafts out. Like, the Seattle Seahawks had amazing draft classes back to back to back to back. And now it's those guys, a lot of them are gone.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can do it again. You have to really hit again now. And that's when you see things like, DK Metcalf, which I think has huge question marks to him. And you're like, I'm not sure if you've got it again. I don't know if you can repeat the success you had before. But especially they were good in later rounds too. So that was something they were good at. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the defense is not quite the same, but you should still be scared.
The thing I was looking up is, so apparently there's the first website I looked at, which is arcgist.com, has a ranking of the 10 loudest stadiums in the NFL. They have Seattle at 1 and then the Chiefs at 2. However, in an article posted earlier this year, January of 2019, SI says, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, no sports fans in the world are louder than the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Chief fans registered a record 142.2 decibels on September 29th, 2014. The Seattle Seahawks were previously recorded to be the NFL's loudest crowd noise at 137.6 decibels.
It depends how good your team is,
So, I mean, right now the Chiefs hold that record. The Seahawks are in second. But yeah, this is a team this year where it's not like this defense sucks, they're not going to do anything. I just think it's one of those where you look at the Seahawks and go, okay, this is no longer a team that leans on that defense. This is now a team that's probably going to lean on that offense and lean not just on the offense. They're going to lean on Russell Wilson. Like, that is the guy they are going to lean with, because you look at the last few years with the guys that, they've lost, but they come into last year 10-6. They make the playoffs. The year before that, though, they were a 9-7 team, missed the playoffs. Then you've got 2016, they were 10-5-1. And then 2015, I think that was the one of the last Super Bowl years. No, that was just after that. They were 10-6. So they've been a 9-7, 10-6 kind of floaty team. The question is, for this year, is it going to be more on that low side or that high side, or could this be the first year they fall below that 9-7? And that's where I bring up the wide receivers, because right now on the depth chart, you've got Tyler Lockett and DJ Metcalf. Or DK Metcalf. I keep saying DJ. DK Metcalf are the top two wide receivers. Yes, they have Jaron Brown. Yes, they have David Moore. But DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
We're like, oh no,
exactly.
They have.
Like, is that a worrisome if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan?
Oh, totally, 100%. But at the same time,
they also got Nick Vannett too. Tight end, but receiver.
But when has I almost said Washington Redskins. When has the Seattle Seahawks ever really had that great of an offensive weapons to throw the ball to?
They've had reliable. Like Doug Baldwin was reliable.
Yes, reliable. But they've never had great ones. So they don't need Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf to be great.
And I will say that was a shocking piece of news when Doug Baldwin was like, fuck it, I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm done. Like, I was like, holy shit, that's a big loss to them, because they kind of had to scramble to fill that piece. But do they have that reliable guy? Like, Tyler Lockett wasn't the number one. That was Doug Baldwin.
Yeah.
They had, like, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, Tyler Lockett. These weren't guys that were, like, Doug Baldwin was their number one, but he was really just a solid guy that they had there.
And I don't think they have that. Golden they don't have Tate it now.
Years ago.
And they've got serviceable guys for sure, but Russell Wilson's never really enjoyed that. I just want to take a moment aside to appreciate.
I thought you were going to say a moment of silence.
No, I think that might be worthwhile too. To appreciate this quarterback depth chart. You got Russell Wilson. Then you've got Paxton Lynch, that first round pick that never got to play.
Yep.
And then Geno punch me in the face Smith out there.
Punch me in the face Smith.
This is such a great quarterback room right there. You know, like, I don't really understand why these guys are there. Why either of them have a job in the NFL.
They needed to fill a depth chart.
Yeah, and it's like you really couldn't have found anybody better than these two guys.
Hey, if anyone's going to make them better, Pete Carroll can do it, man.
No, neither one of these guys are going to be made better. They're both really fucking bad.
Well, maybe Russell Wilson will do, and when I say this, I'm going to preface it by, I am a Roman Catholic, so I do believe in the same stuff that Russell Wilson says, but maybe he's going to pray really hard, and then, you know, Paxton and Geno will just get better, because the will of God will make them better.
Maybe if they drink more water.
I say that as a Roman Catholic myself, so before someone says Ricky's bashing God, I'm throwing stones from my stone house.
They need to just drink more water, put the phones away when they're in the bedroom, follow the TB12 method. It'll all work out all right. But
don't have sex till you're married.
Yeah, no, that one's Russell Wilson. Yeah, that one probably was not Tom Brady.
Tom's doing the opposite.
Yeah, well, yeah. Tom's love life is an interesting one. That's for sure. But anyways, before people get mad that we're talking too much about Tom Brady in a Seahawks video, this offense to me, they sit there as that, like, they're just like, they are a good offense, but they don't have what they need to be a great offense. And I think they went for DK Metcalf because he's got some of that physical freak parts to it. But as I said a bunch of times, the guy's got terrible route running ability. I mean, his combine, he had one thing that was really good. or two actually, like two things that were really good, and then everything else that was terrible. Like, he is such a big red flag to me. He's gonna sit there and be one of these guys like a Laquan Treadwell or something like that, where it was like, hey, why haven't we seen Laquan play? Well, he's not good. He's not ready. And I feel like that's going to be DK Metcalf. He's not going to be good enough. He's not going to be ready.
Oh, he's going to play.
Oh, he's going to play, but he's not going to do anything worthwhile for your team.
I think, if anything, like, I hope he does something because I'm pulling for him because he's one of my favorite prospects from this past draft. But I feel like he has the potential to be something in this team because there's basically no trees that are going to cut. Like, if he's a little plant that's starting to grow, there's no shade that's going to cover him. There's no guys that are like, hey, push you down. You ain't going to come up.
You know who's going to cover him? Easily whoever is on him.
Oh, no.
Without any problems
when
at
I say
all,
the
'cause
shade
he can't
thing, I
get
mean,
separation.
like, there's no guys on the depth chart
Now, I know what
where
you're
he
saying.
can't climb up
You
there.
used the word coverage, and it was perfect.
But-
yeah, he can't get separation. He can't run routes.
But like,
he's not good at it.
Another question I have about the offense, though, is the running back situation also. Because it's like, yes, they've got three.
Maybe that's why Paxton Lynch is there.
They've got three good names of Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, and CJ Procise. But it's, what are we going to, like, I know Carson was an 1,000-yard rusher last year, and Seahawks fans are going to say, what are you questioning that for? Carson wasn't a 1,000-yard rusher. But without that pass game, Lockett, yes, was a 900-yard receiver. Is DK Metcalf going to fill in for the other 600 that Doug Baldwin had? Are we going to see another 1,000-yard season out of Chris Carson? Because if you look back at his other years, and this is only last year was year 2, this is year 3, he jumped from, I know it was only 4 games, but he jumped from 200 yards in 2017 to 1,100 yards in 2018. Are we going to see that again? Or are we going to see Rashad Penny get more carries because now Mike Davis isn't there. He's over being Run DMC in Chicago, to where I feel like the offense, wide receivers, the biggest question. Can we get the same production out of the running backs? They're going to be the strongest unit, though, when we're looking at the debate offense or defense for the Seahawks.
And the thing to remember about the run game is this is a team that is a little traditional. They run the football. These running backs will have their
unless you're in the
opportunities.
Super Bowl on the goal line.
And it's third down.
And it's third down, and you got one play to win the game. Then they don't. Yeah. They pass it.
Throw the football because you got another down to run the football next.
Unless you throw an interception.
In that
Should have
case,
thought about that.
You don't get the chance.
Should have thought about that.
And they're going to get their yards. These running backs will. They're good running backs. There's multiple good running backs. They'll be fine. My thing is just Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can make average wide receivers into good wide receivers. But when you only give him average wide receivers, he doesn't have much to work with. You know, he's not going to be the guy taking, an average guy, making him amazing, making him great. So I wish that they would just give Russell Wilson a top quality wide receiver. And part of me is like, well, I think they think that they have that in DK Metcalf. But to which I would say, think you need to fire your scouts, because everybody else looks at that combine. And I know you said he's one of your favorite, but you like the pure freak athlete part of it. You don't necessarily, like, you're kind of ignoring but the things that matter to a wide receiver, he did bad at.
But, I mean, the thing I will say about him, getting him where they did, you can take that risk. Like, 32nd pick in the second round, I can take that risk on that guy, to where...
If probably could have gotten a better wide receiver, though.
If they took him in the first round, though, then it'd be like, okay, it's a little bit of, like, I know all of us had him in the first round, so it's not like, hey, Ricky, why are you saying that when you had him in the first round? But I feel like having him second round, there's more of that upside for, hey, if he booms, he booms. If he busts, it would be way worse if he was a first-round pick and he busted compared to end of the second round, almost early third round.
Yeah, sucks no matter what, but...
What about the schedule? This is a team that, unlike what you had with the 49ers that you didn't like, they got a late bye. They've got a Week 11 bye, so 10 games before it and then 6 games after it.
Nice spot. I kind of like the Seahawks schedule for the Seahawks. Get to start off against Cincinnati. You get maybe an easier win. Yeah, you're going to Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's a question mark.
Could be a manageable one.
You get a couple of these games that you can get some momentum with before you have New Orleans come to you.
Yeah,
that's huge.
They could be, to me, like in the first 6 games, they could be 4-2, with the 2 games being the question of New Orleans and LA. But the good thing about those, they're both coming to Seattle.
Exactly.
Which, speaking of that, I'm going to scratch that and make it a 5-1 because I think Rams and Seahawks could split. And if they split, I'm going to give the Seahawks the win at home, obviously.
Mm-hmm. They've got kind of some easier ones. The middle of the schedule, they've got LA, Cleveland, Baltimore, Atlanta, which can have some trouble parts to it. But then they get to play Tampa and San Francisco. That one's at San Francisco, so maybe on that one. But going into the bye before having to go play Philadelphia, who there's question marks about Philly too. And then they end their season with Arizona and San Francisco. I see the Seahawks basically right where they were last year. That 10-6, maybe a 9-7 range, probably right in that wild card spot for a playoff. If LA has a big Super Bowl hangover, Seattle Seahawks might win their division this year.
Let's see. I'm counting losses really quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is a team where I look at it and I feel like they're going to be right back to where they were the last 2 years, where at best they're 11-5, but realistically I think 10-6 is what we're looking at, because I think the Saints and half of the LA, the LA game doesn't matter because I think LA will split with Seattle, but the New Orleans game is interesting because it's in Seattle. Baltimore's going to be tough, but it's in Seattle. Minnesota's going to be tough, but it's in Seattle. You have those things going right for you, but I look at New Orleans, Baltimore, Minnesota, Philly, one against the 49ers, one against the Rams. There's a possibility for a 6-loss schedule here. The only question is, are you going to be surprised? Is Cleveland going to surprise you at the dog pound? Is Atlanta going to surprise you in the Mercedes-Benz Dome Stadium? I think it's stadium.
Sounds right.
The new stadium that they built. Is a team like Carolina going to surprise you yet again on the road? Those are the questions that I think is
typically
asked.
The Seahawks don't do great on the road.
Usually I have a bigger window for these teams, but this one I've got a razor-thin window of probably 10-6, 9-7. What we've seen the last 2 years. They're either going to be 9-7 and miss the playoffs, or 10-6, just like they were last year, second place in the division, right behind the Rams, and going to the playoffs as a wild card team, or depending on how tough this conference is, could miss the playoffs at 10-6. But I would go with, if they're 10-6, they're a wild card team.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards them as a wild card again this year. But you never know. I mean, if a team like the Vikings get in there where they didn't last year, Packers come back, things can change.
The 49ers healthy. What do they look like this year? It's going to be an interesting one. But Seattle fans, let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section. What did we miss about your team? What were we right? What were we wrong on? What do you think about your Seahawks in 2019?